several people haven't had a chance to review this.
Yeah.
I would like to make a recommendation that we get somebody as soon as possible. I don't know when that can be. Colin Hansen, I've spoke to from KMU, very, very knowledgeable, represents or is familiar with the different 172, 176 municipal-owned utilities. I think it might be helpful if he or someone of that caliber could come in, provide us with, here's what we see, here's, you know, the various options, because, I mean, there's a lot, if we're going to do this right, which if this is the decision we decide to move forward with, then I think that there's a lot, I mean, should it be an appointed board, should it be an elected? There's a lot of different variations, and I think if we could have somebody come in and provide us with that overview, which I know you've already talked about having him involved anyhow, that might help us understand, because we don't have to mirror one or another. We could copy, you know, things from that we like from other things. We just aren't familiar with what all those are.
Totally agree.
How about if we, even before that, we have staff get together and tell us what their recommendations are? I mean, is there any staff member here that thinks a BPU is necessary?
You know, I think that...
I mean, I hate to put you on the spot, but does anyone here think that the current configuration is in need of rework? I mean,
yeah.
from finance, from HR, from, I mean, just... I mean, that speaks volumes, I think, for... I mean, don't we usually get our direction from staff? I mean, every week or 2 weeks, we get these stacks of papers. They make recommendations on things that they believe we need to do, and then we query them, we kick around some ideas, and then we vote. But I haven't heard anyone except you really pushing this. And I guess I'd just like to get back to basics and see what problem we're solving before we open up another problem and haven't solved the one that's operating illegally.
When we did the BPU study committee, we did have members of staff that came and...
Such as?
Jim Melvin was...
He's not here.
Uh,
Well, we have, I mean, when we have...
Do you really need to cut me off like that? I think that everybody here is aware that Jim Melvin's not here anymore.
Who are the others?
And somebody else that isn't here any longer was David Green. There's no reason to be rude, Councilman.
I'm not being rude. I'm just
No,
saying
I think you are being rude.
those people are gone, and we've hired new people to replace them with new ideas. And I think it's a good idea to take direction from the people, again, who are schooled in these things. I mean, and I guess I still go back to what problems are you seeing with the way we're operating water and wastewater, other than the fact that in the 2000, from about 2000 to 2009 or so, there was a misuse by the council that was seated here before of the money that was coming in. Other than that, what is the problem?
Okay. I'm trying to move forward. Councilman Freeman wants to move.
And I know you want to push it forward, but I'm just asking for some logical argument as to why you keep choosing one city and why you keep taking an approach that takes 2/3 of a functioning body and then going back and saying this is the way we move forward.
I know,
to
but
make it all into one.
Listen,
that's just me.
I know you're being unreasonably argumentative about it.
I just want you to make your case.
I'm not sure that there's a case that I can make that you're not going to have a question that's going to be contrary to whatever point I'm trying to make.
Well,
I mean, it's really getting counterproductive.
It is. I agree. You pushed on it.
Yeah, but I think that...
You pushed on it, and I think, again, if you...
Certainly.
If we have KMU come in, they represent not just BPU type. I mean, they are familiar with even what you're saying, city run. So why not let them come in? We can ask questions, same questions you're asking now, what they see. When I talked to Colin, I mean, he honestly was very honest, did not push one way or the other. I mean, he just basically said, it's really up to you. And I think that if we had somebody, in conjunction with city staff, come in and be able to provide some additional information, and we could all ask those questions, then we can determine it. And you know what? After that conversation, we may have several people up here that say, you know what, maybe the BPU is not what we want. But I just don't think that there's enough information right now
I agree with that.
to make a decision unless we have some experts come in that we can have some conversation.
Well, and my whole reason was to try and get a policy discussion started, and we got bogged down on disbursement, and Mr. Fodovich keeps trying to derail the conversation. Now, I don't have a problem not leading this conversation. I don't have a problem with turning it over to Colin Hanson to lead. I would say that if Colin Hanson comes, or somebody else from KMU comes, that you don't treat them the way that you've been treating me this evening.
Well, I'll have the same questions for them, but they'll have probably more answers since they serve 172 municipalities.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a little different tack here. I'll be perfectly honest in that I think that I somewhat agree with Larry that trying to tackle all three is probably a mistake in the short run. I think that what we need to do is we need to fix the electric issue, and I think we need to fix it in a way that allows the electric to have the flexibility to continue to operate as a business. So my proposed solution, the one I was thinking I was going to be advocating when I came in here, was to pass a charter ordinance to exempt ourselves from applicable Kansas statute. That immediately fixes a good chunk of the problem that we're currently seeing. Now, it won't fix the issues with eminent domain or budget or with bonding. Those are the three that we cannot fix with an exemption. But that would give us the flexibility then to have more time to craft a good, solid, regular ordinance, and that's the way that the League of Kansas Municipalities recommends that we do this.
Have you talked to them about
Yes.
this? Oh, well then,
League of Kansas Municipalities recommends that if you wish to home rule charter out of state statute, you do that with a charter ordinance that exempts you from state statute, period. Then you can actually add regular ordinances on top of that to give you some flexibility if you need to make changes. Instead of requiring a 2/3 governmental majority, you need a 3-2 majority, in our case. But that would at least give us some flexibility to be able to make changes to that ordinance to include water and wastewater in the future, but we can at least address the electrical problem up front.
so do you think that's a better way to go, Ryan? Would you weigh in on that, or, I mean, is what he said accurate?
Well, what he said about the advice from Kansas League is accurate. I mean, when you exempt yourself out by charter ordinance, and then you supplant it with whatever policy direction you receive from you all on those issues that are non-uniform in nature, which
Correct.
are we talked about.
But
Well, I'm
I
in
think
favor
what,
of that.
well, actually, I think what Steve is proposing,
I'm in favor of solving the electric problem.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's a charter ordinance, but I
Well,
think
we have to
it's
be a charter ordinance.
I'm not advocating fix the EUB or the BPU. That's a policy decision. I'm just telling.
What can we do, I guess, is the question. I mean, the
hold on, that's not what the discussion is.
Can we go, we really
Right.
can't go down that route this evening because it wasn't on the agenda for the work session because
Work session.
revising. Can you
Well, this-
just do what you, can you
This is
introduce
not-
it and go
this
on the
isn't a
other
meeting.
round? I didn't know.
Discuss the development and proposed duties of a Board of Public Utilities established by a charter ordinance. Now,
So the charter ordinance, is that what you-
Steve has suggested a charter ordinance, but what he's saying is to establish a charter ordinance that exempts you from everything, but then you fix it with just
A regular ordinance.
a regular ordinance.
That would give us some flexibility for the framework of the actual electric utility board, regardless of whether it's just electric utility or whether in the future we add water and wastewater. It would require a threshold of 3 votes rather than 4 votes.
In other words, you would like to fix electric and leave water and wastewater unattended until a later date.
Not unattended. What I'm saying is that we fix electric, which fixes the immediate problem that Councilman Fodovich and virtually everybody else in this body wants to have addressed, but then have a study group, have individuals come in to actually see what we would need to do to complete a transition of water and wastewater services into this utility board with an amendment to a regular ordinance rather than a charter ordinance.
So I mean, I agree that we should fix the electric problem first.
Absolutely.
I mean, and then, we could talk